and Apple Podcasts, YouTube. And if you're an Apple Podcasts, please leave a rating and a review. It will help us out tremendously. And visit us on thesportscast.net, thesportscast.net, or you can download our app, The Sportscast, on the iOS App Store. Super Bowl LV 55 is in the history books. The one man in the world only predicted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to defeat the Kansas City Chiefs 9-31. We got Joe Toscano, Bag of Donuts, and Victor Arocho, VA Arocho, on the Sportscast. Welcome back.
Thank you for having us. I was looking forward today. Joey Bag of Donuts.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Well, Victor is gloating because I said the Chiefs would put up 41, and they didn't even put up 11. So sure, he has a big smile on his face.
So, Victor, give us a background. Of course, there is a bet involved since last week. Tell us, what was the background behind it? Tell us the context.
Hold on, I had a background phone going on. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Say so Victor, tell us, we are talking about a bet that all of us had. Well, not me. You, Joe, Nick, last week, and like the previous show of last Wednesday. Tell us the background behind it and what happened.
All right, well, the background behind it was these guys swore that Kansas City was going to put up 41 points against that Tampa Bay defense. And that was the easiest money I knew I was going to make, because there was no way. Now, look, I still picked the Bucs, but I didn't think, and I picked the Bucs were going to score 31 points. Right? I had the game 31-28. I didn't think it was 9. So the deal was 41, and that's a lot of points. Even if for the Bucs were won, it had to be 42, 43. That's an 80-point game, right? So that's number one. Number two, when I looked it up, only 6 teams in the history of football, Super Bowl, have ever scored over 40 points, right? So that was where that came from, number one. Number two, the piece of the fact that how depleted that offensive line was for Kansas City, which came to fruition, right, was the other reason why I knew they were going to score 41 points. But I did agree with the entire panel. I think we all agreed. We thought it was going to be over 56, right? The over where we agreed, and it was way under 56. So, I wish I would have bet money on that one.
And everyone else, 3 people, Nick Rossetti, Joe Toscano, and Justin Riley, all betted the Kansas City Chiefs to win. Victor Rocha was confident. And this would happen in the game. As you know, Buccaneers defeated the Chiefs 31-9. Tom Brady winning his 7th championship. He's first started the game throwing 2 touchdown passes to Gronkowski and one to Goat old pal Antonio Brown, which Joe is very familiar with, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Time
out 1 second. On our show, Joey, didn't I say if Antonio Brown scores a touchdown, the game is over?
Yeah, and I did say that Antonio Brown was an X factor. When you have one of the best wide receivers of all time as your 3rd or 4th receiver, you're doing all right.
Let's go in the opening 2 touchdown passes to Gronkowski. Joe, what are your thoughts over this game, this matchup overall?
I think it's just amazing. I mean, like Victor said, people expected the Bucs to win, but they didn't expect them to win like that, for the Chiefs to put up nothing. I think a lot of factors contributed to it, but that Bucs defensive line is awesome. The Kansas City offensive line was terrible, but I think there was other factors too. It's like the Chiefs wilted under the pressure, which is really weird because they were just in the Super Bowl a year ago, and it's like they couldn't handle the pressure. It was just amazing. It was just really surprising, I think. And you got to credit the Bucs defensive coaches for coming up with a great game plan. It worked out to perfection. They didn't even need a blitz, and they still put a mountain of pressure on Mahomes.
We go to Victor. Victor Rocho, what did you see in this game? What was your overall reaction after the result?
My overall reaction is I was right on out of 10 items. I was right on like 7. I was on 70%, if not more. I'm going to give them to you right now so you can go back to the tape. Number 1, I told you Kelsey is going to be the main receiver in that game because he's going to be lateral and Mahomes was not going to have enough time to go deep. Is that a fair statement? Did I say that?
Statement. Joe?
Okay, I said he's not going to go deep. I didn't expect, where I was wrong, that Tyreek Hill was going to be shut down. I did agree that he was going to get his, but he was going to get his on short passes. I also stated the fact that Mahomes, when he rushes to the line, is the most dangerous, but I'd rather him rush to the line and not throw it and run out, which is what happened. I also discussed the fact that the defensive line, right, was going up against a weak offense, right? They mixed and matched. You and I, Santiago, spoke about that there was way too many distractions. Remember that day we discussed there was way too many distractions for the Kansas City Chiefs besides the COVID incident. And then Andy Reid's son got into an accident, the linebacker coach, which was adding towards more of it. So here I got said Grunk was going to be hot. I knew Grunk was. This is Super Bowl
2
time,
touchdowns.
baby.
It's probably his best game all season.
But we knew it was time.
Peaking at the right time. Joe Toscano, tell me what happened with Tyreek Hill. The defense of the Bucs showed up. They were pressuring, of course, Hill. They were pressuring Mahomes. Did they peak at the right moment?
They learned. When they played him in the regular season, Tyreek Hill was at one point on pace to get 1,000 receiving yards. He had like almost 250 in the first quarter alone. They learned. And they also were a little upset because during that game, Tyreek Hill did a little flip, did a little taunting, and so they couldn't wait to taunt him right back. And that was a lot of it. They said that the Bucs defense said they were angry because nobody was giving them a chance. Everybody assumed that the Chiefs offense would just go wild on them. So it was an amazing game plan. They executed it to perfection. You when you pressure without a blitz, that means that you don't leave anything open because you still have everybody back there covering it, and you eliminate the deep stuff. It was a perfect game plan.
Well, think about it. They got their fastest defensive back. They were missing guys when they played. They were also clicking. Nicky was saying, they played nobody on the way up, but they played Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
It doesn't matter who you play.
He loves.
You can't pick who you play.
Yeah, Santiago loves that. I got to play the man in front of me, the team in front of me. I can't pick. You can't blame the team for that. The other thing is they got smart. They played deep. They were super deep. They were not going to let Tyreek Hill get behind. And so the reason why now I'm thinking about it, why Tyreek Hill got taken out of the game is because they kept their game plan of him going deep. But the problem is Mahomes didn't have enough time to hit him. If you think about it, right? So he was still running the same offense. It's just he couldn't get the ball to him. Now, in Mahomes' defense, man, he threw some balls that were like on the money while he was almost under attack.
On the ground.
Dying.
Yeah.
There's
some pictures on Twitter.
Those balls were ropes. When I couldn't even imagine he got that ball. Kelsey dropped the ball. Tyreek Hill dropped the ball. Okay. And it goes back to, I'm telling you, they had too many distractions. And then one more piece I'll go so we can continue is the defensive line, as I was trying to tell you guys, and Nicky, when you play defense and you're playing against someone that isn't a starter, especially a defensive player, especially a defensive line or a linebacker, they are ferocious. They're mentally going in that they're winning. I'm going to beat you, Joey, because you're the second or third string. You understand? Mentally, they feel they win beaten. I'm just saying, if you were the second or third string, you're a starter in my heart. You're a starter. right?
Oh.
But oh, Nikki, laugh out loud. But I'm saying to you though, as a think about it, those guys are ferocious. Do we agree the defensive line for the thing? So imagine being ferocious and going after a second, third stringer, right? Or going after a left tackle who used to play right tackle. Mentally, you're mentally beating that guy in your mind. Is that a fair statement?
Joe, guess it's, got
Frozen.
something to say about that?
What about you, Santiago? What are your thoughts on that? Is that a
No,
fair
I
statement?
think I
You're
think
you're gone.
no, the plan was great. I think the mastermind of that defense is Todd Bowles, a former Jet coach that had it right on the money. Uh, they gave Mahomes 25 quarterback rush pressure. 29 times we were pressuring Mahomes, um, and they scored under 10 points. That's something that's hard to do. The Chiefs, I believe, all the Chiefs' losses, I believe, in the past 2 years, the Chiefs scored 30 points. That's something that they figured out in this matchup.
This
Joe,
was Brady's highest points.
yeah. Any thoughts, Joe, on that?
I've never seen a quarterback run for his life like Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. He did not have any time at all. The only time he was able to do anything was when he was effectively able to run away. And what is that? I think I saw a stat that said he scrambled for 497 yards. He was constantly under fire. And yeah, I mean, the offensive line did, have injuries. They did have people playing out of place, but still to be that bad. I mean, you could have fallen and done a better job blocking than some of those people. It's like it was pathetic.
So it's unfair. It was too hard. It's too hard playing against that good of a defense line. My co-host Byron Jones called it. He said they're going to come straight up. They're not going to let him get outside. And he did get outside for a little bit, and then they just let him run. They stayed with the receivers. None of the defensive backs came up. Number one. Number two, the funny part about this is Brady is known that if you give Brady too much pressure, it hurts him. They did this onto Mahomes. By the way, this is the first time in the league that I've ever seen Mahomes have that much pressure on him. I've never seen him have that much pressure.
Something that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers figured out. Victor Arocho, Tom Brady wins the MVP. Do you have any doubts with that? Who could his fifth MVP? Who could have been the second?
I'm going to give you the order I would have had. Gronk could have got it right for 2 TDs. Number one.
Yeah.
And then I forgot his name. Who's known his name? 45.
Shaquille Barrett.
Yeah.
Defensive line.
Yeah, or the whole defensive line, right? I mean,
either
the whole defensive line.
Seriously.
I mean, those guys, they're the ones dominated it. I mean, that was it. To Holmes looked like, I mean, you saw the frustration, you saw the pieces. I mean, that defensive line, they came to play. And again, it's not really fair, but again, you can't pick and choose. It's not my problem that you guys decided to go get a haircut when Tampa Bay brought their haircut, the guy to cut their hair to them, right? Brady shipped his family away. They did everything. And then the funny part is that remember when I told you he yelled at one of the guys that was crying because he was so happy that they won the NFC Championship. And Brady yelled at him saying, "This ain't over, man. What are you doing?" Right? And he went up to every player after the game, it was said, and he told them thank you. He said, but Brady went up, talked to their kids, took pictures with all of them. You think about it. They're all superstars, and all the players are taking pictures with Brady.
Joe Toscano, your impression on Tom Brady's performance, and who would have been your second or your other choices behind Brady to win the MVP award?
Me or Joe?
Joe Toscano, Joey Bag of Donuts.
Yeah,
I agree. I would have given it to the entire Bucs defense. They just all,
Can they be possible?
I believe it's happened before.
No, I don't remember. I know the only defensive line the person got an MVP is Richard Dent that I remember.
Like a 12-way tie.
And he shouldn't have got. I mean, he got it, but
this is another. Okay, go ahead, Joe.
and it's just I could see giving it to Gronk. He had an amazing game. I think it's one of those things where he can't do it every game, but he could have games like this where he could totally dominate. So it is amazing. But yeah, about Brady and this whole concept of bringing a legend over that's played all his time with one team, bringing him over, then bringing in a Fournette and Ndamukong Suh and Antonio Brown and Gronk and making it all work on a year with COVID. It is insanely impressive what they have done. Usually when somebody does the dream team concept, it's a disaster because people think, people think this is like fantasy football and you could just add people like that. It's like, it's not how this works. But they made it work. And it's insanely impressive. Brady just looks amazing. I mean, my goodness. First of all, it's a good-looking dude, but still, he is just. It's like he's playing like he's 33 or even 23 or something like that. He's showing no signs of age. What do they say? Father Time is undefeated. I think Father Time might be defeated now.
Very, very, very true. Leonard Fournette, as we were speaking about the running game, great running game. Leonard Fournette has had 89 yards. Ronald Jones, the second, 61 yards. Victor, running game was there as well.
But a couple things. One, I wish Justin and Nicky were on this call because Justin was like making fun of, an LSU guy now all of a sudden is going to be the key factor. He was. The guy came to play. I mean, these guys talk. I may be an old
redemptive
dude,
story, isn't it?
I know my game, right? That's number one. Number two, we were talking about him and somebody else. You said Fournette.
Ronald Jones.
Okay. No. Ronald Jones as well. What I was going to say is that we also mentioned the point when I was talking about is that these guys don't get a lot of catches. Like Gronk didn't have a lot of catches, but look how many yards he had.
67.
Okay, AB didn't have a lot of catches. Look how many yards he had. Okay,
22 yards.
Exactly. Only 22?
22 yards and 5 catches.
Okay, so then that makes up still. That means you have to be worried about him, right? If he has 5 catches. So the two guys that Brady brought over scored 3 touchdowns. Think about it. He brought 2 guys that came with him, scored 3 touchdowns. Okay? So what's scary is they're coming back. Now, just a matter of, Antonio Brown, what they're going to pay him because he was definitely underpaid. He made $750,000 just for winning that game, right? He made $750,000 plus $130-something thousand for the Super Bowl for winning the Super Bowl as a team, but as an individual, he made $750,000, and he probably got another one. And Brady wanted to get him another touchdown pass in the Super Bowl, right? So I would this team, Joey, you said it best with all the stuff that they didn't do this year to pull this off. Can you imagine what that team may be like next year?
And that's my other question. Can they do it again next year, Joe?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, yeah. Assuming. I mean, I don't think you're going to be able to keep Antonio Brown, but I mean, if this team stays together, especially, and even if it doesn't, I mean, Antonio Brown was like a 3rd or 4th receiver. They're still loaded at receiver, so they'll be fine there. Who knows what's happening in running back, but they're going to be fine. This is still a loaded team, and that defense is just that defense isn't going anywhere, and it is amazing. So yeah, they could totally do this again.
And there was an interview this morning with Bruce Arians saying that Mike Evans, he's a very charitable person, that he's able to lower his salary to keep a few of his former teammates.
Who's that?
In Tampa.
Who?
Mike Evans. But
via
so Bruce
does Brady.
Arians.
So does Brady.
Brady too. Brady's willing to give up.
And I'm telling you right now, Antonio Brown is already. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame. Number one. Number two. Okay, I don't think that he's going to leave. I think they're going to pay him more. They're going to pay him as much as they can afford. Right? I don't think he's going to leave because Brady's the only one that can really keep. In other words, he owes so much to Brady. He doesn't want to leave. Think about it. Brady's made him over $1 million plus on incentives because his contract was just all incentive based. You know what his base salary was? $1 million. You don't think they're going to pay him 4, 5, 6 million?
Something to definitely look at. Let's look into Kansas City. Victor, it's a very young team. They still got a lot of stars. Do you think they'll be back next year?
Yeah, that team is it's a good team. I mean, they were just hindered with everything possible, right? The distractions, the COVID, the linemen, the it wasn't, it just it was the circumstances, all the stars aligned, right? But I could tell you what, that little running back, that other running back they had, he
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
he was scaring me because that guy was running real good.
64
Okay.
yards.
And then the other thing that
He's
I don't understand is why Le'Veon Bell didn't even. I thought he'd be a factor because think about it. If you're rushing a quarterback, you do a wheel route. I mean, you could hit the running back at anywhere, right? And Le'Veon Bell, I don't even know if he played, much less did he get the ball. And then one last point I want to make is I was talking to one of the young guys here. He's like, Bieniemy, he probably called a bad game. And, I'm like, wait a second, that's not fair. Because Bieniemy is not getting picked, hasn't gotten the chance as a head coach because the perception is Andy Reid calls the plays. So you can't in one stand say Andy Reid's calling the plays, and then when they don't do well, Eric Bieniemy called a bad game. Is that fair?
When it's a good play, it's Andy Reid. When it's a bad play, it's Bieniemy.
Exactly. So make up your mind. And with all due respect to that team, I don't think it was the offensive play call, and I think it was just like the defense. What were you going to play? What were you going to run? They're the best team. Look at the stats. Mahomes is the best. The only one who's second is Russell Wilson in the entire league. Outthrows everyone when he scrambles.
Joe Toscano, any closing words for Kansas City? Will you see them again next season? Will they be a competitive factor in the AFC and the Super Bowl?
Here's the problem with the Chiefs. It's sometimes as a football team, it's a good thing to get smacked, to lose bad. So you can figure out what went wrong and what problems you actually have. That never really happened. I mean, yeah, they lost to the Raiders, and I don't even know who else they lost to, but you need to get smacked, and they really didn't do that. So they really didn't realize what weaknesses they had until the championship. So they'll be fine. They'll come back. They'll fortify their offensive line. They just keep getting better every year. So yeah, they'll be back. I mean, they are clearly the number one team in the AFC. Maybe Bills are approaching them, but really Chiefs are clear number one in the AFC.
And the odds are pretty strong to see the Buccaneers and the Chiefs again next season. Goat versus baby goat, right, Victor?
What are you talking about, baby goat? There was no baby goat. I told you they should have never even put him in the category as GOAT. Now, I think Mahomes is a great player, but don't start putting him in the name of GOAT. I hate when they do that. I hate when someone comes into the NBA and they start comparing him to Jordan or they compare him to LeBron. It's all about consistency. Marino made it his first year, and look what happened. He didn't do anything, okay? Grant Hill, I can give you player after player after player that had one killer season. What was that running back from Atlanta that was really good? I mean, they didn't do much later. So don't do that. Hey, I got something to share for you guys though.
Victor Arocho yesterday presented his sausage and peppers, which I believe it turned out great. He barbecued them. He made the sauce. It took him about a couple hours to let it slow simmer.
No, dude, I did it the day before. It was 24 plus hours. That's how the sauce. Hey, let me show you. Let me share my screen real quick.
Hold on, let me let you. And we got to wrap this up soon. So go ahead.
We'll wrap it up. Just tell me when you're ready. You ready?
You're all set. Go share that screen. All you guys. Oh, there you go. There's a picture that Victor shows Shows
Joe, you
Mahomes
like
on
that?
top of Brady,
That's cute.
and there's a caption below it that says, "Take your son to work day, February 7th, 2021, Tampa Bay, Florida." You can see it on the video.
Joey, I'll
If you're
text
listening,
me your number. And I think that's funny. Isn't it funny?
everyone sees. Anyways, Victor, tell us, how'd your Super Bowl snacks go? Real quick.
Oh man, I think I almost exploded. I ate too much. My wife made a ring. You saw that too. She made a cheeseburger ring,
Oh my
like
gosh.
with bread cooked in. It's a circular cheeseburger.
Like buttered?
It was no, because my wife doesn't like butter, but it was just crazy. Then we had wings, and we had
Pizza.
Arkansas. We had friends, one couple come over, and they had Arkansas potato salad. Plus, we had a dessert, and then we topped it off with my sausage and peppers. You saw that, right?
That was beautiful.
Joey,
and
you're
he live
Italian,
streamed it
but
throughout
I
Facebook.
learned how to make gravy from an ex-girlfriend and a good friend of mine she's from Napoli. So I made it fresh tomatoes, fresh whole tomatoes, pasta, basil, garlic, seasoned the garlic, and I was over the top by that time. But so the food was good. We had a good time. My son, this is the first Super Bowl my son and I were on the same team, because normally we're against each other. Like last year, I picked Kansas City, right? And
they won.
And he picked who they play last year?
The 49ers.
That's right. They played the 49ers, and I think I had picked Kansas City. But I was rooting for 49ers because Nick Bosa and the Bosa family went to St. Thomas Aquinas here in Florida, and my son went to St. Thomas Aquinas too. So the Bosa family is a great family. Anyhow, the snacks went well. Byron was sending out some great pictures of the food he was making. So anyhow, it was great. Got a lot of comments on my food.
Victor Arocho definitely is a snack Super Bowl guy. Joe, tell us about your Super Bowl snack time yesterday.
We did wings, mozzarella sticks, buffalo dip, and ice cream.
Fair enough. I had pizza and some Krispy Kreme donuts.
Hey, I like that.
White crack.
Nice.
Anyways, that is our recap of the Super Bowl. Joe Toscano, what is the best way to reach you online to talk to you about this Super Bowl?
Joey Bag of Donuts V instead of an F on Twitter. And by the way, the refs gave the Bucks the game. We forgot to mention that.
Oh yeah. Want to talk to you about that. Was that like
you can say
what
the
you guys
same
think
thing
about the refs'
City,
decisions? I know that the CBS commentators were saying that the refs were getting too involved with the game and it benefited the Buccaneers. We'll start with Joe on that one. What are your thoughts about over the refs' performance?
I think maybe one or two calls where you could say that it was, iffy. But I mean, a lot of those is just the Chiefs shooting themselves in the foot. The offsides, there was holding. You can't blame that game on the refs. It was the Bucks were awesome. The Chiefs just wilted under the pressure and they couldn't handle it. So I mean, I joke about that, but it wasn't the refs.
Victor Arocho,
and remember the game before though, you could say the same thing about Kansas City. Like they were getting a lot of calls too. So
yeah.
Anyways, that's another podcast to talk about. Victor Arocho, what's the best way to reach you, and tell us about your show this week?
Best way to reach me is at V Arocho on Twitter. So at VAROCHO. You also go to my website. It's victorarocho.com. That's VICTORAROCHO.com. And then our show on Thursday, we're excited. Byron is going to do a recap. He's a defensive lineman from Minnesota. And we're going to do a recap there. Obviously, I dedicated. Just want to shout out again to Pelham McDaniels III. If you get a chance to look him up, you see he passed away last year. So he was able to see them win the Super Bowl. And, that's his last memory. So that's, God bless him. So we're excited for our show. We're going to talk a lot about, what happened, the calls. We're going to get a little bit more deeper into the defense. But we all picked the same thing, man. It's too hard, too many distractions. And, but I was hoping for a better game, to be honest with you.
Me too.
Still wanted the Bucks to win. 21. It wasn't. It was a good game because I'm a defensive player, but it wasn't the game that was hyped up to be. You know what I mean? Which is kind of rough, but it gave gave the rest of the league a kind of a game plan how to go after Mahomes, right? Like the other teams are, because right now they own the AFC, so what they're going to do is start bulking up on linemen.
Well, there you have it. Victor Arocho's show at the Jersey Boys Sports Talk Thursday nights at 8 p.m. on Twitter, YouTube, and our Facebook at Leon Sports. You can watch it live. And we'll try to have Nick Rossetti on your show. We'll try to arrange that for at least 5 minutes.
Text them my cell number so they can sell me my money.
Exactly. We'll definitely have it. Which he started a new job today at the Bird Scooter Company. Have you seen Nick?
Oh, yeah? What's that?
Working at that Bird. So he definitely has plenty of money to pay you.
What's Bird Scooter Company?
Yeah, it's like the little scooters you see in like those cities, downtown cities.
Oh, really? Good for him.
Yeah, so he works with Bird. So I'm sure they're compensating him really well to pay off that expensive debt. I mean, bet.
You did save money, Joey. Bag of donuts.
Anyways,
I might be stupid, but I'm not dumb.
Why do you think I'm all in? What does Arian say? What is it? What's his saying? Like, go for it. What does he say? What's his saying, Santiago?
I don't know.
He says like all or nothing, but it's something like that,
Anyways,
we'll figure it out.
We'll find out by
Watch
Thursday. By Thursday, we'll know. You can follow us at the Sportscast 1 or at the sportscast.net. And perhaps Victor or Justin this week will discuss the Super Bowl commercials, which were kind of good. Wayne's World was the best. And we'll definitely.
But I don't understand. Budweiser said they weren't going to sponsor him. I saw Budweiser out.
Yeah, they were all over the place.
Yeah.
They had to get a great commercial, I thought.
Well, if you Google right now who pulled out of the Super Bowl, the first one.
I think Coca-Cola wasn't in it. I think that was like the.
Yeah, it was Pepsi.
I think Pepsi got in, and then of course you got.
Budweiser kind of threw me off.
Yeah. Anyways, we could talk commercials in a later time. All right, guys. Victor Arocho, Joey Bag of Donuts. Thanks for coming on to the sports.